This feels like a make or break it moment for Speed Duel. We've got FTKs, we've got Kaijus, we've got hand ripping. There's a whole load of not fun things in the format, and when you have so many case cup top players speaking out about the format being not really fun to play, especially for that 72-hour period, you know there is a bit of a problem overall. And so hopefully, fingers crossed, new ban list is going to fix things. Now, the one kind of caveat to remember going in is we're going into a month with 2 big speed products, right? We should be getting a mini box towards the end of this month, right? Like last year, like the year before. And then around mid to late May, with the Road Towards Campaign Part 2, we'll get a main box, right? A structure deck, maybe a selection box. There'll be a new character, hopefully, as well. So there's more levels to this, potentially, right? Because they also want to sell 2 new boxes with this one ban list. So we'll see what happens, right? But we are stuck with this format until May 11th, which isn't going to be that fun. Right, so, you know, this new mini box comes out potentially in early May or whatever, hopefully is going to be good enough to compete with the current decks, but I probably doubt it. Let's jump into Forbidden, Ibli, and SCT. This one's always a weird one, right, because it's in Duel Links, it's only really been used for FTK shenanigans. Now, could you say, KONAMI, why not nerf the burn damage and halve it? Right, it's an older card, just do that, and it should fix things. Right? Or, KONAMI, can we make it so that we are putting some restrictions on these skills to make so you can't FTK? That's also a valid, you know, a valid line of thinking. I think that one I prefer, rather than going down this route of having the ban list be so many FTK-driven cards. Ibli is a really bullshit floodgate, always has been, and yeah, you're playing this in Start Drive, and so, you know, locking them to only summoning links is, yeah, a bit rough, given that a lot of decks nowadays need to see, you know, their main deck cards or need to see their extra cards before you go into a link. So, yeah, just a good thing to be here. Oh, this one was like the easiest one because we saw in China, they banned this as well. They also banned the Jormungandr, I think it is, the snake thing. So if that's here, that would make sense, but this of course being Destiny Hero, just like Withdrawal, it was a non-fun thing in TCG, right, in Trickstars, Reincarnation, with this as well, you know, so in Duel Links in a lower format with less cards, more impactful. Yeah, this one was always a bit of a red flag. We've then got Mind Wiper Swap, which I don't think was actually doing anything in the moment, but it is a card that is very much like Summon Strategy, in that it does shove their hand back to deck, they draw some amount of cards, you turn off Withdrawal, and then, you know, they kind of can't play. So this one's probably kind of getting ahead of the curve, I guess, with regards to potentially there being some outliers, because you know whatever happens with balance, right? Someone's going to find FTK, or some more hand ripping, or something, some generic combo, regardless of the hits on the ban list and skill list, someone's going to make some combo, and we'll be back here in a month as well. We've then, okay, no Jormungandr. Not that they like super matters, because I don't think it's actually seeing like that much play, but it's still just a card they probably should get rid of. Limit 1. We've got Tachyon Transmigration. Okay, so this was Limit 1 before. Then they freed it, right? To go alongside new support, and now it's back. So now you're clashing with the Hope Harbinger, which means you do probably remove Hope Harbinger from the deck, I imagine, or this one. Like, it's a toss-up, right? But this is a solid change, but I hope that's not all we're getting for Tachyon, right? Because it's just too splashable. It is really not fun to play against. We've then got Dominance. Okay, so this is one of anyone Destiny Hero, and I believe at the moment this clashes with Super Poly. So you've now got to choose, do I get the free-ish board wipe of my opponent with that, or do I get this? And I think you go for this, right? Because getting that deep look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and then the guaranteed draw off for the whole combo they have, yeah, probably is worth having. So I imagine you will run this over the Super Poly. Then we've got... Okay, so FTK card, of course, this was already halved, right? Because the burn damage was pre-Zexal, so it does kind of suck when we have a bunch of cards being hit in like a crossfire thing because of other skills and decks, right? Like, they could just go down the route of making skills not deal burn damage on the first turn, or if some decks like Trickstar, for example, need to deal burn damage on the first turn, you allow that. Not a big fan of it, conceptually, but in terms of just like the current metagame, sure, why not? You probably only play one of this anyway in the deck, and maybe trains, you know, can get a skill, new support coming at some point, right? And then they'll kind of get around this being a 1. I'd imagine that's probably what they'll do eventually down the line. Necro Valley at 1 as well. Good change. Just straight up good change. Obviously, the main kind of way you see this is, I mean, Tachyon can play it. Obviously, you can also go for H-Ray Dragon, right, for ABC. And that's a 1. So this does kind of move that floodgate from the deck. Obviously, Gravekeepers as a core theme haven't done much of anything. And if they do get more support, then eventually, at some point down the line, this will probably come back. Again, could be skill locked, for example. But yeah, just a bullshit card that at some stages has been mandatory, I guess, to kind of counter the top decks, but it's still just a not fun card to play against. Makura is a weird one, because I believe most builds only really play 1 anyway. Sometimes you play 2. Like, you've got Punk, right, that can play it. You've got X-Sister as well. Like, it's the main one that plays it. And it's only 1 off there. So, I guess just cutting off generic Lim 1 cards is probably fine. I don't think it changes much of anything in terms of the core combo. Maybe there's a little more trap card this would have, you know, been really useful for, right? Like a Floodgate card, right, for example, if we hit in those as well, which hopefully, given they're going down the hand ripping thing, they also go for Floodgates, that'd be really big. But at the moment, doesn't seem too bad of a change. Divine, Golden Shadow Dragon, okay. This was the big one. This was the big offender for the format. You've now got this, Transmigration, and you've got the Hope Harbinger, all in 1. So, Tachyon Engine is, yeah, that's kind of dead in the water, thankfully. This was so bullshit to face off against in Speed Duel, and, you know, I really wanted to go into new box, right, into the Therian box, to go for the Dragonite cards, right, but looking at the current metagame, I was like, what is the point, right, when 2 of the best decks in the format came from this box, and they're so oppressive in non-games, right, FDKing or hand ripping, like, what's the point in investing? And I feel like Konami maybe saw some of that, right, in terms of like a revenue from the last box, maybe they saw that, but then again, Therian was so popular, so maybe not, but still, anything that is kind of impacting the game to make money in a way should be dealt with, I guess. Still, good change. The only thing, again, conceptually, right, is that Tachyon probably could have kept this card, right? Like, as a core in-theme card, and have Tachyon be the deck that did, you know, play this, because it was really offensive when splashed into every other deck under the sun, right? That's where it kind of got long in the tooth. And so, I think at some point maybe we get a skill rework, maybe even today, get a skill rework to kind of add this to the extra or something, and they can kind of get around this in some way. But at the moment, Tachyon Engine does seem to be a little bit dead. That doubly confirms it. That's massive. That's way more than I thought it would do. Okay. They really don't want this going into the Road to Wars campaign. Yeah, whatever's coming in the mini box and the main box. Yeah, they don't want this bullshit around. Okay, fair play, fair play. Dogma. So Dogma alongside Dominance, alongside Supoli. Dogma is required for Dragoon, right? For the one that works with the skill. They get the bonus effect off with the D-Tactics, right? So I can see some people going for this instead if they do like that line. But I think most people in the KC Carb were cutting this entirely. So I feel like you keep the Dominance, you go to Supoli, get rid of this, and things stay relatively the same. Again, it just depends on everything else being hit in that deck. Of course, again, we have Sin, the hit to the trap. Okay, again, conceptually, the same feelings as to this, but again, for the format at the moment, stopping FTKs is always a good thing. That's fine. Light Force Sword is a very weird one, but again, it is a hand rip technically. It's just like not as good as everything else. So, sure, Heavy Slump as well is a hand rip if they've got AMO cards in the deck, which is kind of hard to do. So, conceptually, again, I like it. That's fine. We could just ban these, but this one's anime, so like maybe not. But like this, we could ban. Fiend Eagle as well is again FTK shenanigans, so sure. But do Raid Raptors even play these two like together? If they only play this one, which I think they might only play this one, given the extra space, then this isn't like a huge loss for them. but again, conceptually, does kind of suck. Mind Drain was being played in a bunch of decks, right? Just being a negate for effects in hand, really, really solid. At Limit 1, I think, again, you could have banned this, but at some point, Floodgate cards are, like, good, in theory, for newer players to actually compete, so it's a bit of a tough one, right? Tyrant's Turret, again, cards that should be banned, but Limit 1 does fundamentally remove them if there are, you know, good Limit 1 cards for decks that could abuse it, right? All it does take is some new deck coming out with Limit 1s, and then they splash us in, and then things kind of go back to where we were. So, I'd imagine, kind of like the Superconductor Tyranno, these do get looked at over time, again and again and again, and we'll eventually see this card get banned, but they could have done today. A Pointer as well was kind of it is a hand rep, but also it is a anti-meta pick, right? So, this one, I think, again, it feels worse than the other ones, but sure, I'm not going to say I'm disappointed with this one. The Limit 1s, overall, a really good amount of changes. Like, I think a lot of meaningful changes as well. Overall, for Limit 1s. Limit 2s could be pretty big though, because we don't really have that much at 2, right? So we'll see where things go. Let's have a look. We've got Mirror Force, a very powerful card. Not really. Of course, anime-wise, yes, sure. No one's playing this above gold, so fine, could come back to unlimited. It's a one copy anyway in the game overall, so doesn't really matter, but sure. Econ is a bit more interesting, right? Because again, there's not many Limit 2s in the game, it's mainly Limit 1s, Limit 3s. So this might just be available now for so many more decks, and this card comes in and out of the format every so often, right? So there are going to be some decks that can properly take advantage of this, and some obviously that can't, but this is just a cool card. Again, it's been 10 years almost of Duel Links, right, existing, so this feels kind of fitting to be back to where it first went to on the ban list so long ago. And then we've got nothing but Limit 3. So we are getting some more Limit 3 cards. Okay, so at the moment we've kind of dealt with the Tachyon slop engine, right? But we've not really we've dealt with the Destiny Hero hand ripping. We've not really dealt with, like, the power level, I guess, of, say, Therion being so much more. Again, they've got the skill, so hopefully we get a skill nerf or something, but given the Konami's track record, I don't think we'll do that. Let's see. Tachyon Primal as well to 3. They don't want you playing this with Nibiru's. I imagine we've got to have something for Therion, right? Going to 3 as well? That would just make sense. There's the Therion here. Okay. So you probably do still go 2 and 1, I think, if you even can find a way to make this work, because you could you can, like, get the other Tachyon Spell Trap, right? The one's Limit 2. So actually, like, there is still some plays you can do with this deck. But sure. Buster Drake as well? That's a win. I can only assume it's like taking Nibiru out, right? Because I'm pretty sure in the Casey Carb, there weren't really many people that were running, you know, like a Limit 3. So this, like, fundamentally kind of does nothing. So we'll see. We'll see. At the moment, it's like, okay, because someone playing one of this, like, yeah, you get someone playing 2 or 3. It's a toss-up. We've then got Droll, and that's probably the bigger one, right? Droll with this, that's probably the reason why. But again, I feel like that not many people are playing Droll in this deck. So we'll see. We'll see. Alacia, though, is kind of massive, given that this was a 1 to 2 in the deck. So alongside your 3 Therion King Regulus, alongside your Tachyon, 1 to 2 of this, you've now got to go and probably do 2 King Regulus, 1 of this, I'd imagine. I'd imagine that's the ratio we're going to be at for Therion. Schism is interesting because I believe it was, like, recently unhit, right? So does this, like, clash with any Shadows? I'm trying to think. Like, maybe is Wendy? I'm going to quickly look. Is Shadow Wendy like a Limit 3 still? Shadow, let's have a look. Shadow, Wendy is Limit 3, and that is a card you are going to play at 3 copies. So that is a pretty big hit. Bit of a out of left field one, maybe? Did they do anything in the case of, I'm not sure, right? Let's have a look. Shadol, just quickly see. Top 100, top 10. Okay, there was a top 10 Shadol player. Okay, that, I guess, makes sense. We've then got Valence World Shirabansho, which of course is for the Therion stuff, but like, just hit the skill, and then, like, the whole second part of this, giving the opponent a card, doesn't really work, so that, again, being caught in the crossfire feels bad, but that's probably okay still for that. Right. Valence is a deck that is not really played that much, right? It's not like a fan favorite theme. These were played, I want to say, you didn't play 3 of each, you probably played 2 of each, so now you're playing 2 and 1 in that deck, and that is going to feel bad, right? That's just going to feel bad for Valence decks, given that you're setting another field spell, and so, like, you've now got less targets, which is always going to not feel great. And that's all for limit 3s. So, card-wise, I think this is fine. Big notable omission is Lava Golem, is Sphere Mode. I guess you could argue that maybe if the bullshit stuff is now lessened, then the need for Lava Golem, the need for Sphere Mode, is lessened as well. Obviously, you still got things like Powerful Creation that can search at Lava Golem, or the Sphere Mode, whatever. You have got the Ra skill again, that's thematically tied, Odeon, thematically tied. So, like, there are still ways around that, like, it's still going to be a thing, but hopefully it won't be as much. But for the next 2 weeks, it's still going to be the same bullshit Lava Golem, FTK, Punch Negate format, which may not be that fun. Unlimited. This is fine, right? This is completely fine now. No one's playing this. This one is fine. Scepter is cool to come back, but again, it's been so long. Like, this is what, a Disney hit, I believe, with Stick Chair Dharma Edition was a thing that I played back in the day, and that was quite fun. So I'd imagine we see the other one come back. Crocodragon is always flip-flopping, right? He's going in and out of the format. Will we see him come back again at some point? Maybe. And we have the Sanctified Dark Lord, so again, buffing Dark Lords. I'm not sure what they've got, and that's all the changes. Let me look real quick and see. Dark Lord, what have they actually got on the ban list, right? You've got the Nurse Refugee banned, which does make sense, and Unlimited. Okay, they're now fully back to full power, just kind of waiting on the more modern support, which could be a sign of things to come at some point. Maybe, maybe not. Let's go to skills and see what we've got. Please, Therion, be on here. Starlight Drivel. Okay, that is good. We're hopefully getting a nerf on that one. The Shark skill, and then Liberancers and Valence. So maybe we're getting a bit of a buff to kind of compensate for the really awkward ban list with regards to Valence. Like, maybe that's going to be a thing. Let's see. So, Starlight Drivel is getting a only single monster can be special summon from your extra deck using this skill's first effect. But that's the first effect. This has got to be some really weird wording with regards to, just like localization, which we know happens a lot in Duel Links. It has to be just like an extra lock, right? I'd imagine, which means the skill turns more into like the level 10 slot, but it is still like the same skill. So nothing fundamentally has changed beyond like some limits to like draw and to, Nibiru now clashing, right? Like that's like the one big thing, I guess. You've still got the Lava Golems, you've still got all the non-fun things a skill could play. Yeah, it's kind of a bit of a downer one. Shark skill is getting a bit of a buff to be able to search any XC spell or trap card rather than just the Revive Splash. Okay, is it going to be a meaningful change? Probably not, but it's good to have regardless, right? That's a fundamentally a +1 change, but is it going to like make them top tier broken? Probably not. We've then got Liberancers, which is going to have a extract restriction that is the same, right? It's just worded differently, and you've now got Nibiru access. Okay, fine. Probably only play one copy anyway in that deck, I'd imagine. Sure. And Valence is also getting the Nibiru access, and the second and third effects now once per turn rather than once per duel on the third effect. So that fundamentally does nothing. Okay, the third effect buff is good. The issue is, you've just gone and gotten rid of what? They're previously unlimited and put to 3. You've now got the 2 field spells at limit 3. And you're now saying, hey, you can play Nibiru, it's also limit 3. Why would I ever want to play Nibiru if I have to load up on field spells? It's like the skill team and the card team had like no crosstalk with each other. That's like the most baffling thing I think on the ban list overall. Is that's a very, very weird change. And of course this skill up here just being seemingly grossly mistranslated. Sure. Overall, it is a positive list, right? There are some really big fixes to some of the current bad things about the form overall, right? FTK in, hand ripping, all good. The Tacky Slop is being decimated, right? Tachyon as a deck pure has been decimated. Hero, not sure how this is going to change things, right? Because again, it depends on the route you go down. And again, the big thing conceptually is that we have got a mini box coming. We've got a big Red Wars campaign coming. Structure deck, campaign card. Selection box maybe. Big main box. Like, there's a lot coming in the next month that it's hard to evaluate this balance on its own without seeing what they're going to try and push to you in like the near future, right? So overall, positive. Some weird like crossfire hits that again could be resolved by just like nerfing the skills and putting a burn restriction on them. That would be much better, but at this point it's probably easier to go, you know what, hit on the ban list, and then they can chuck this in character deck duels at some point down the line, right, and have that be the main way you're going to play Gustav Max and get the value out of it, I guess. Anyway, that's my thoughts on ban list. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching. Adios.